and they said that I'm in the beginning of dementia, and the Parkinson there was like these two beginnings. But I knew that. I tried to say that it doesn't work anymore. It's starting to. There is something. It's turning off. But they said to me, "There's nothing we can do. There's like this natural generating. That's what happens when you get older."
Lynn, how did you find Carnivore?
I found Carnivore 6 months ago, exactly. It was 3rd of July, 2024. My family were on vacation in the west coast of Norway with my partner's parents. And I was, very, very ill. I just came home from hospital. And then I will tell the story up until I found Carnivore, because it was almost like too much luck. I always been searching a lot, but I never been in that area. I've been more or less vegetarian since I was 18, and I'm now 47. I've been a kind of poor vegetarian because I have studied a lot. I've been like the student, so it was pasta, pasta and olive oil. So it hasn't been like this perfect vegetarian. I've been kind of just eating potatoes instead of meat when I went to visit. So I have done all the wrong things and thought I was doing so good. But just to begin with how I found Carnivore 6 months ago. First time, I have a daughter. She's now 8, and when she was 4 in 2020, I just got a new job at the library. We moved house. We did different things. We had a cat, and I started to have serious allergies, histamine intolerance, and my stomach. It was almost like this huge wound in my stomach. So I went to all the different gastrointestinal. They looked at everything and couldn't find anything wrong with me. And after a quite short time in 2020, I started not being able to walk. So I couldn't really move anymore. And I was thinking maybe I'm fatigued, maybe I'm exhausted. And then I started to take allergy pills because I was so antihistamines for my allergy. And that helped a little bit. But after a while, it took over again. So I just got more and more fatigued, and I was just in a new job. So I went to work and went home and slept for the rest of the day, or were just lying still in bed. And this continued, and I can't actually almost not remember because I've been away for 4 years. So it's very different for me to sit and talk and be up walking. But from that, I hardly remember going to work. I pushed myself with medications. I took paracetamol and everything that could keep me on my feet because I wanted to keep this job. But I fell off, and in the end we had to let our cat move to another place because I couldn't have animals close to me. And then I started to react to everything in the house. If we had a plant, anything. So we had to kind of suddenly, so it was this long journey. And then in 2022, I started to be, it was ME, the chronic fatigue syndrome, that the doctor started to look at me and think that I was starting to enter that. And and I could feel that I could not do anything like with my daughter or just open the window. I would have 8 days in bed. It would be so serious that I remember one time I was lying on a yoga mat on the floor and I was just stretching. I was just going to stretch my arms like that, and I suddenly felt the feverish freeze, and it got to me, and then I knew that I cannot do anything that strains my body before I end up in bed. So I got more and more scared of moving at the same time that my body told me that I can't move. So I got into drinking much more smoothies. I tried to really work on the diet. So I made spinach smoothies, blueberry. My husband was running around in the hills and picking all the berries he could find, and we smoothied everything, and I was trying to drink it, and I was like, kind of feel a little bit better, like it was something, but that was maybe because I didn't eat the bread or something. So something happened, and I was like, yeah, maybe today. And then gradually it didn't help at all. And then in 2023, that's when really things started to go very wrong. And no doctors could see anything. My main doctor, he said that he was so proud of me because I was eating so well, and we had now a greenhouse. I was eating salads every day, and he said, it's incredible. Your cholesterol is even better than mine. And I had no cholesterol. There was like nothing, only triglycerides were a bit leveled, or was leveled in the wrong way, but the rest was like there was nothing there. And I started to tell him, I don't know what it is with me, because I'm trying to explain to them what's going on. I said, it feels like there is no oxygen to the brain. It feels like it doesn't reach up. There is no like push up from here to there. So I can't stand up. I fall back again. And then and I try to tell them that. And then I started suddenly in 2023 to have some pains in my mouth. And then I went to the dentist. I used all my money on supplements and dentists and everything I could find. And then one tooth got so bad that they decided in the end, because they couldn't find anything on the scans, that they were going to take the root canal and just like make it not have any nerves anymore. But that didn't help at all either. And then the surgeon of with the dentist, he said, it seems like you have gotten trigeminous neuralgia. Also, it's the it's a huge face pain and head pain. And he said, just Google it and you can learn about it. And I learned that was like the suicide pain. It's like the pain that you just, people stop hugging their children because you get so many. It's the pain is like shooting into your face, and it got so bad that I did not almost. I wanted to live but it was like this. My body was like not able to walk or move, and my face was so in pain. So I didn't know. It was just crazy. And then after that, he said, I hope you come back to the hospital, because I never operated in anyone, and I have operated very many older people than you with tooth decays, that there was no blood in the operation. It didn't come blood from the bone, because he even went further to cut off some deeper. And he said the marble or the bone structure was like hollow and dry. So he said, I hope you will find out maybe there's something with your spinal, something in your bones that's not working. So I was like so happy for having some news to the doctor and say, we might have something here. We must take a spinal. So I was sent into hospital again, and they took many scans of me, of everything, and they said, she looks perfectly fine. So we don't want to take that test, the spinal test, because I was so ill. They didn't want me to feel worse afterwards. And I was like, oh, okay, but that was my only chance of finding out of anything. And then they said that I must start to accept that I have MA, chronic fatigue syndrome, that I must learn that that's how it feels, and the pains are wanderings. So my pain here might be pain in the arm another time. So I just had to learn that it can change. And I was like, but this is so distinct.
So the doctor was basically saying to you, well, you just got to learn to accept it.
Yeah. And they also was a bit irritated because the only thing I asked for was painkillers for the pain in my face. And they were like, you should go to the right doctor and get the right medication. We can't have you here for that. And you must learn that. Yeah. So I was like, whatever. And also my journal, it says, she's a bit too optimistic, well. And I was like, the reason why I was so optimistic was because I was so happy to finally maybe get the help. So I was giving everything I had of goodwill, of like, okay, that's fine. I was like that because I so much wanted to help. So it was like, yeah, it backfired because they didn't know anything to do with me. So they sent me home, and then I got to my doctor again, and he said that we should try some epileptic medication for my pain. So I could start with, because that's what helps those with that kind of illness. And I was like, and I got the recipe to pick it out, but I was like, I always been, I don't know, I take some painkillers if I have to, but I just knew this was wrong. And I also got into a group with this headache, and I could see they are trying different medications. They are getting worse, and they are after a while they cut off the nerves of the trigon in the hospital because it's too painful. So they go in and cut off, and they take Botox like every 6 weeks to keep the nerves calm because of the pain. So I was like, I saw this long journey of different medications, operations, and I got my face dropped because of the pain. It kind of numbed itself so much, so it hanged. And it was just unbearable. And people were saying, like, you can't hug your children, you have to eat with a straw. If there's wind, you can't go out. If there's sun, you can't go out. You can't move because of the pain. And I was like, this can't be. And it just continued. And then I was searching again for what was wrong with me. And then someone said, maybe you are in perimenopause. And I was like, can that be that difficult for it's almost like 4 years of really dying? Is this Then I was like,
I know it's not good, but if it was that bad, I'm sure someone else would have spoken up about it by now, right?
I know. I was like, okay. And I was like, whatever. I know people because I got hot flushes, but I got fever like every other day. And then I called a woman I heard was really nice, like good for this. So I managed to come to her. And I said, this is the first time I'm actually coming out of the house and driving because I had to lean my arms. That's the only power I got to get to her. But I was like, I have to go to her. And she entered me into a Facebook page. And that's where my healing started. And that was not because I was maybe I am, but it was not the reason why I have these problems. I entered a Facebook group that she has, And I was just writing down all my symptoms and said, anyone else? And they were like, no, not me. Some of it, but this doesn't sound. And there was one lady who I'm very grateful for. And she said, to me, it sounds like you are serious lack of B12 because you have neuropathy. And I also, at that time, I started having slowly, uncontrollable movements in my right hand and my neck. So when I was lying still, I couldn't stop my neck. And there was like pins and needles under my feet when I was standing. So it started to become very much, and my tongue, I couldn't put my words together. So it was very many things starting in 2023 that really developed quickly. And she said, it might be that. And I was like, okay. And so I didn't go back to the doctor because I was like, they were so tired of me. They were like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, I just felt like they were like, you wasting our time kind of feeling. So I just went to bought some B12 drops, and I was told to take iron and have some meat. And I was like, okay, shall I eat meat? I was like, So I called, it's a local, we have some rekoring, it's called here. It's like this animal farming that's very like, it's grass-fed all year. It's like the way they're, everything is like this good. So I ordered from her some really like oxen, they are really beautiful, some bone broth and some meat. So I made a soup with that. But this was, at that time, just to say very slowly, I had just had an MRI or a picture of my head just before that. And they said that I'm in the beginning of dementia and the Parkinson there was like these two beginnings. But I knew that. I tried to say that it doesn't work anymore. It's starting to, there is something, it's turning off. But they said to me, there's nothing we can do. There's like this natural generating, that's what happens when you get older, is part of it. And I was like, and I started to not have memory. Like I didn't dare to go out to the kitchen because I was afraid to stand there and not remember what I was going to. So sometimes I was like, okay, I just lie here because I don't dare to feel the feeling I get when I don't remember things. And I started to walk right. If I didn't concentrate, my body went just right, and I couldn't lift my feet, and my gait was like hunched because to even come up was too much struggle. So I started to have this gait that was just like is floating. So that was part of me, the answers from that lady who didn't think this was perimenopause symptoms. So I kind of knew that I'm out of this world very soon because I could feel it shutting off. It was in my eyes. It was so blurry. I was like, I can't really see. So I bought this meat. I managed actually because my husband was on winter fishing. He's a fisherman in the winter time, so he goes fishing. So I have eaten fish, just to say, but so that's probably the good thing. And my daughter was home, but I drove and got the meat, and I managed to make that because I was this is like all I can do, and I had B12. And then I ate, and I took the B12, and the most the most intense pain I have ever felt in my head started to happen in bed, because I did this after my daughter had went to bed, because I didn't know the reactions, because I knew that I might have some reactions from this. it was so strong. It was like the blood vessels were like, they were probably so tiny in my head because there was no blood, there was no push. So it started to move with the B12, with the iron, with the meat and the broth. So the pain, I was like, this is, and I hadn't felt my pulse for so long. It was so still in here. And then suddenly it was like, and I could feel it, and the pain in my face. It was like a bandage. I could not almost, I feel like it's giving me life back. And now I had gone with this for 1 year, like not being able to do anything because of the pain. And it started to like push through something. It was amazing. And I was like crying because I was, and I folded my hands and I was like, okay, whatever you do to me now, just do it, because I feel like this must be life coming back. This must be like the body saying, finally, you're giving us what we can do to repair. Come on, guys, we're going to work all night. So the whole night was like being in a boat, like boat undersea, because it was like, you could hear the blood was working. You could hear everything was like pushing. And I woke up the day after and I was like, okay, I'm still alive. Or I could, and I could, sudden changes. I was like, almost like, have I not a bit more power in my fingers? I was like, and then, and then my daughter went to school, and then I was home that day and continued with this. I took some more B12, I ate some meat, and then I could feel still. So just to say, 5 days later, when my partner came home, I opened the door and he saw me, and he was like, he didn't recognize me, and it was 5 days. And the thing that happened was that I didn't eat any bread or anything like that. So I was like, I had so much water in my body that it was like, I had to pee like every 5 minutes, and it was like a bottle every time. I was like, what's going on? And I had no idea about what I know today, but I was like, it was just like, everything disappeared in 5 days, and I got energy. And he was like, you walking? I'm like, yes. I don't know, this is crazy. I felt like euphoric. I was like, I know, this is what's going on. And I said to him, because he's been very ill as well, because he was not a vegetarian before he met me, but he had something, psoriasis and Bactria. So he was going on biological medications, injections every week, very, very ill after, and especially after becoming vegetarian. Then his body and some of his mind, things started to happen very quickly for him. So I said, I will make you some soup. And we started to eat, and he was like, oh my God. And I said, try to cut out gluten, because bread. So what we did instead, which was the other mistake, I started to buy buckwheat, all these other high oxalate foods, and my daughter has always reacted to milk. So we were trying oat milk. So because I did not know anything about this carnivore or keto or anything, I just thought, well, this is a good way. But we got better. Me, and especially me, I got so much better. But also my partner, he suddenly changed from not being able to move without injections. Within, he said, 4 days of no bread, he was sitting differently. And I was like, you are things are actually changing. And he's like, yeah. So he wrote down on his package of injections the date, the last time he took his injection, and he has still not taken since January or February, I think, 2024, because this is 24, yes. So now it's almost a year he hasn't taken injections, and he's fine. he's not as strict as I am, so he can sometimes do that, but he can feel it so directly. So he's like, okay, I learned now. So he still struggled from Christmas, from having a couple of cakes, and he still work on that. But he knows now. He has a control which he didn't have before. So I, at that time, were so happy. So I went to the doctor and said, you know what? After 4 years, look at me. I can move. I know what I need. I need B12 injections because it's very expensive to buy these bottles from the health. So because I've been using all my money on trying to find out. So I was like, now you can help me. I need B12 injections, and I will eat to complement that so it get taken up in my body. And they were like, no, it's not going to happen. And I was like, what? I have a life now. I'm possible. Yeah. So it ended up that I was arguing with my doctor's place here in this little town. And I suddenly became this, I don't know, I got so wildly angry because I was like, you want to give me antidepressants, you want to give me epileptic medications, you want to give me everything, but you won't give me what actually works. I'm on my way. I have neuropathy. I need to save this quickly. This is not something this is acute. I need to be at least have the chance to see if I can heal this. Epileptic medication will never heal my pain. And this is the only thing that helps. And they were like, no, we can't do that. Not everyone can just go and have B12 shots. And so I was like, and then I found another doctor because I got a private doctor. And he helped me and I got injections. And I thrived. And within 8 weeks of 4 years of actually, and my memory came back, my vision came back. I don't know, I just completely I couldn't lift my arms, I couldn't move, I couldn't do anything. And suddenly I could walk again. I was like, but it felt so lonely as well because I was sitting on my terrace and I was thinking, no one believes me. No one believes anything of what I'm experiencing. I'm experiencing such huge thing. I can be a mother again. It's like, but everyone is like, whatever. I mean, not friends and family, but no one is like, when you have cancer and you have finished with your treatment, it's like almost like, well done and good luck. It's like nothing had happened to me in the doctor's eyes. So I continued with that, and then this beautiful private doctor told me to eat because my iron ferritin was so low, so I had to work really hard to be able to take up the B12. He said you should eat more nuts and more beetroot juice, that red beet juice, to keep your iron up, and meat, but and I was like, oh yeah, beet. I was like, because I was still eating a lot of greens, and I started to drink this beet juice every day, and then in May I started to lose more and more energy, and I was taking more and more shots of B12. I was like, why doesn't this work anymore? I was like, okay, shots every day now. And he was like, okay, you can try. He was helping me, like, oh, okay. And I was like, it's maybe B1, it's maybe B2, it's maybe which of the B's, and then I had this rabbit hole of things, remedies. And I was like, this can't be right. This is not the road to health, to become so, yeah. And I was crazy because I had been so well, and then I started to lose it again, and it got worse and worse and worse. And I was like, I have no energy. And I was like, oh, what did I think? It was just like, it was not true anyway. And I was drinking more. I drank almost like a whole of this beet juice because I was giving my ferritin up. I would try. And then I noticed that I hadn't drinking any milk products, because I thought milk protein was not, we shouldn't have that. So I've been drinking a lot of oat milk, like fake milk. And then we have this National Day, 17th of May last year, 2024, where I had we have this kind of porridge, which is made of very like thick milk. And I thought, well, maybe one day I can have this. So I was like, I can have milk today. And then I ate that. And 2 hours later, we were going to see some things in this town here. And I was standing with my head like that. And suddenly there came the pain. It felt like my neck was broken. The pain was like unbelievable. And I said to my partner, I cannot move. This is like the worst thing I ever happened. And we went home. And then after that, the pain in my face came back and my neck. And it was so bad that I couldn't sit, lie, stand. I couldn't do anything. There was no position I could be in. And so then I had to bring out all my money again and go to different chiropractors. And there was one chiropractor who I came to first. He said, your body, there is something so wrong with your ligaments or the stretchings in your seams. It's like they fall out of joints. I put them in place, but they fall out again everywhere. And I was like, and he said, I never experienced something like that before. It's like you don't have, and he said, you have scoliosis, there was like, everything was like, and he was afraid to do anything. But after a while, he started to do with my neck, or treat my neck. And he said, I never been touching anything like this before. I don't know what it is. And I told my story a little bit, and he said, this is amazing, crazy. Like, I don't know what to do. And then the pain got even worse. And this is like June of 2024. And I started to have this, I don't know, the sand, if you have like a sand in your hand, it felt like I had like this bucket of sand. It was like, it was making this huge sound in my neck. And then I called the ambulance, because my heart, everything started to, it was like going to shut off, but not in this still way, but in an aggressive way. It was like my body was like out of sync in every, and I was like, am I poisoned? What happened? And then the ambulance came, and I was like, something is going on. There is something completely wrong in my body, and I have no idea. And then I got into the hospital. They checked me. Everything was fine and sent me home, blah, blah, blah. And like almost like, oh, you must deal with some pain in life kind of response. And then it goes like, and then the pain continues. And it's like, I feel like and after a while, I can't lift my arms. I cannot do anything. And then again, I managed to see some people because now I'm in this B12 group, because I'm kind of following people that I try to learn from. And then one guy says, maybe you are oxalate poisoned. And I'm like, what's oxalate? Or dumping, serious dumping. And I'm like, okay. And then I was like, what is that? I had like, okay. But then I was like, but I couldn't see much more anymore. So I didn't work at all. So I tried to look up that, and then I find, of course, Toxic Superfoods, the book. So I ordered that book.
Oh, Sally K. Norton.
So I ordered that book, and I ordered another book, Heal Your Mind, Heal Your Brain, Change Your Food, Change Your Diet. Yeah, I ordered different books, and from Bright, but just bought a lot of books. on the internet and waited for them so I could lie still and kind of go through them. But at that time, I started to think, okay, there is something much more that I didn't know about all of this. Because as I went to the doctor, no doctor, no one have any idea of what I'm talking about. They're just like, why don't you take your epileptic medicine and stop shooting B12 every day? They were like, oh my God, you're just crazy. And I'm like, yeah, I'm doing what I thought worked. And then my family goes on holiday. And that's when, because I was so ill and I was like, I just need 9 days on my own. And they leave, and I'm thinking, okay, I have 9 days to figure this out. I'm going to use every hour. I'm going to stay put in the sofa. I'm going to do anything to learn, because now I have hours to myself. And the first thing I do is that I go and I manage to bicycle, because we have a store 2 minutes walk from here. But I was like, I'm on my own. I will use my energy and get some dark chocolate and dates to have like my vacation. I'm home alone. I'm going to put that on side. I'm going to sit in my sofa, and I start to have like this date and dark chocolate. And I get this pain. I was like, it's so bad that I'm lying like blindfolded, and I couldn't understand this, because I hadn't started looking at oxalates yet, so I didn't know. I just knew that I was waiting for some books, and I was like, I'm going to find out. And then it got so bad that the first day I was home alone, I had to call the ambulance because I really felt I was dying. And I know now that it's actually serious. If you are real poisoned of this, it can go very wrong. And I knew it. I knew this is going completely wrong. And then I got to the hospital, and they checked my brain, they checked everything, and I said, the pain is so huge that it's exploding. It's actually exploding somewhere. And then finally, the main researcher of chronic fatigue in Norway came to me, because they were thinking I was poisoning myself with B12. And they said, you are poisoning yourself with B12. And I said, no, you cannot poison yourself with B12. It's not that. I know that. But there's something else going on. And then she came to me, and I told her my story, and I told her what I was experiencing. And she said, you're on the right track. But she said, but we can't state anything yet what chronic fatigue is. It's like diabetes. When we knew what diabetes was, how to treat diabetes, then we can give the right medications. We are not there yet with chronic fatigue, but you're on the right track, she said, when I said, I think there is some inflammation going on. I think very much is inflammation of what's going on in our bodies. I started to kind of feel that this is happening. And then I went home again, and she said, I have seen hundreds of you. The pain can be awful when you have chronic fatigue. The pain can wander. It's really horrible. And I'm sorry for you. And good luck, kind of. There's nothing we can do for you. And I went home, and then I was like, okay, I can't wait for those books. I need to find out what's going on with me. So I couldn't see, I couldn't do anything. I was like leaning in, and then I thought, I can't even push the buttons on the TV. So I learned how to speak into the remote control. So I was like putting on the TV with closed eyes, and I put on the remote control, and I said how to cure inflammation. And then a video came up, because I had the YouTube. And then it came different videos, and I was just closing my eyes and listening to people. And then suddenly there was like this Carnivore entrance in the next video. Something happened with my inflammation, because I was like, it's got to be inflammation. Because every person I saw with this TN, this trigeminous neuralgia, they were swollen and red. And I was thinking, when it gets so bad, there must be inflammation going on. This disease or this headache must be inflammation. So I was like so determined. And then there was, the Carnivore came up, and I listened to, her with the Toxic Superfood book.
Sally Norton.
Yes. And I listened to those, and I was like, oh my God. Oh, that's what happened. And what I learned is that for me, drinking all that beet juice and having that very high calcium on that day exploded, because the calcium was now releasing the huge sand. I had such an amount of sand in my neck that had been from February till May. I've been drinking tons of beet juice because I thought, now I'm going to elevate my ferritin big time. I'm going to work on that. So I actually poisoned myself, and it was dangerous. Yes. And then when I had that dark chocolate and dates that night, it was like, the cup was so full, it was so crazy inside me, and it was so it, for a long time, it's actually now I'm starting to feel like my neck belongs to my body, but it was almost like my neck was broken from until just newly. And then I knew what I was going to do. And then I just cut up everything, and I had 5 more days alone, because now I'd been in the hospital, I'd done different things the first 4 days of my vacation, so I had 5 more days. And then I just all meat. I got down to, because I'd bought more from her before, so I had more in the freeze, so I just made steaks. And within maybe 3 days, and it was such a hot summer, like here in 2024 when I was alone, so I was just eating steak, and I thought it was horrible, because I find it in different ways. I found it so difficult. Not anymore, but at that time. So I was like forcing myself to just eat and eat and eat. And I could just feel that within 3 days, the pain started to go away. People are not having lives because of that TN, it's called. They're giving up everything. They're isolating. They can't hug people. They can't. And then 3 days, I feel like it's a bandage. It's like repairing again. And then I knew I cannot touch anything. But on the 4th day, because it's so new, everything is so new. And I'm a bit like, there was this little watermelon that my daughter had left in the fridge, and it was so hot, and I was so thirsty. I was like, and I was drinking water, and I was like, maybe I can just have like 1 bite, just have some freshness in my mouth. And then I had 4 hours of attack, a full attack. It was like, I was like, oh my, the infection or inflammation, or I don't know, so I just knew that, okay, this is real deal. So everything I've been putting in my body has made me so sick. I was killing myself with it. And everyone was like, wow, I can't understand why you're not super healthy. Yeah. And then the oxalate dumping started. It came out of it still does. It's like crystals out my forehead, my neck. Not so, the neck took a long time, even though I thought it was like going to be like hugely red here, because I like, it must be like a handful of oxalates in my neck. But that took a while, but it started to come after a while. But it's been especially here in my forehead. So I always go with these sharp bits in my forehead that I take out. And in the beginning, I was like this, and I had like this glass, you can look at them. So I was like really studying, and I was like amazed by it, because I started to get well, and I was like, this is true. this is true.
Since that time, you've basically been carnivore.
Yeah. So 6 months now. It took. Then I contacted this lady who has those animals, and I just bought as much as I could and filled the freezer with it. And I all through that summer, and I even when they came back after 5 days, I was so much better, and I said, you know what? I think we should go camp because we like to go tent in tent by the sea. I think we should go tenting in next week. I knew I could do it because I knew that this pain will gradually heal. So I knew that the pain I had will be on its way down. So I didn't care anymore. I knew that okay, I can't swim because then the fever comes back again, but I can do so much. I just knew. It was like this for the first time. I knew something. I have tried so much, but I didn't never know. But now I know. The body knows. And that gave me such confidence. And oh my god, we went camping. I mean, I didn't. I just we had this fireball like this grill with us, so I just made the food and ate and had my day wherever we were in the tempo that I could do. But still, I just knew that okay now, and that feeling of knowing that this time it's for real. It's not just like 8 weeks and then back again. So I have been like it's that feeling of having this almost secret of knowing something so true and trying to happily be like this childlike, like, you know what, this, and then him being met like, no, that's not true. Like, it's that feeling of kind of running to friends and family, and like, of course my closest family knows and understand me, but it's like that the doctors, everyone, except I got a new doctor because the other one quit. She moved back to Denmark. She was Danish. And I said to him, you know what? I was so confident because now I know what's going on. I said, you know what? I think you should be very observant about this patient because I am now carnivore and you're going to do my blood works. You're going to see how I will do. And you can see from how it's been with me. Chronic fatigue syndrome was my kind of finish. And I'm thriving. So please follow. So he was like, oh, but you have to be careful. This diet, you can do it until you feel better. But then you have to introduce food against us. I said, no, you don't have to. But that's another story. The thing is, you should use me as someone to learn from because where I've been. And he said, okay. And then I came back one other time because there was something about with the job things. And I said to him, and he said, are you still eating just meat? And I said, yes, I am. And he was like, and I said, it's changed my life. And he was like, I can see you're different. And he said, okay, so you're actually changing your whole metabolism. You're like changing it out, your whole system. And I was like, yes, thank you. I am. I'm changing. And I was like, this took me actually maybe just a week to start that change. And I was like, remember that. Like, this is also a way for very many people who are so ill.
So, and like, did he follow up with this? Was he interested?
Kind of, but he had to admit that was what's going on, and I could see he was like, and he's just come to and you can actually be fired. The private doctor I went to, he was fired from that like established doctor house, if you know what I mean. Yeah, so he was fired because he didn't follow all the rules. Like he could say, go home, make a chicken soup to his patient. He could say different things, like try chicken soup first and come back. Like he had like different views, and that he couldn't stay. So they fired him from there. So you can get very easily fired from if you come with. So he admitted it, but I can see that he has that kind of. He's a young. I don't know. He can also be like this. I can see him have something to say if he's confident enough, I think. But at least I said follow me, see what happens to me and use it. But I haven't been to the doctor since. I don't want to go back.
Oh,
There's
nice.
there's
That such a good place to be, right?
there's no.
It's so good to be in this position where you don't feel like you need to go to the doctor after all the trouble you've been through.
No, it's like the last thing I want is to go to the doctor and ask for what. I'm extremely happy, but I was a bit angry when the energy came because I suddenly had all these years, and I'm thinking like I love skiing. I would love to bring my daughter when she was 4 years old. I couldn't do anything for 4 years. I was just sitting. There was this summer before the year before all this happened, like in 2023. I was sitting in a chair in the garden, and there's 100 meters down to the end of the garden, and my daughter was running up to the house, and she had forgotten her teddy bear, and I was looking at that teddy bear, and I was thinking, I could never have been able to go and pick that up for her and come in. Like I couldn't understand how anyone could even walk that distance of those meters to pick that up and go in. And I was like, and I didn't want to die like suicidal, but I felt so tired of life, so heavily. I could understand how life ebbs out. Like you feel you're done. There's no more. There's no more life left. And I could really feel how that actually feels when you are finished. But I could sit and look at her in different things, but I felt a bit angry at that time because when my energy came back, I was like, this is just luck that I'm back. None of my life. She would probably have me mentally there 1 year, 2 year, and then I would be in dementia. I wouldn't. I don't know. It gets to me in a way that's very strange. It's almost like when you've been to a shipwreck and you swim and you don't think, but when you sit there and look at it, then the fear and the anger and the tears comes because you can take in the feelings of what happened, and it's shocking to know that all you thought was wrong. Everything. I mean, everything we thought was right is wrong. I've been rotten in that hospital.
And we're basically sabotaging ourselves the whole time.
All the time. And I now see it so clearly. We are such simple animals, like every other animal. We cannot do all this. Of course, we are poisoning ourselves. So I'm just so grateful. I mean, I feel so lucky. I try to talk to some people now and then when I think that maybe that would be something, but I get so much reactions that I'm thinking, okay, it's maybe not worth it now. I should focus on me, and maybe those who want to talk about it or come will do.
So how did your family react to this when they came back, after they've been away for 9 days, suddenly you've got your energy back and you're eating meat?
Yeah.
What was their reaction?
My partner, he saw some of it that winter. So he was like, you're kind of, that happened again. And I said, yes, but this time, no vegetables. He was like, no vegetables? That's not good. Fiber, all this. And I said, no, nothing. I now know why my pain comes every time I eat. I tried even to blue, because we have so many berries in the garden. We have everything here. We have like made this house for it, everything. That's what we do. And we were like, what do we do now? And I took 4 berries just like some other day, and the same thing happened. And I just like, okay, now I know. Now I really know. This is it. And then I explained to him, and he was like, and he tried it too. And he's been maybe 80% carnivore, and has a new life in all ways. He is also
Awesome.
yeah. So I that's my immediate family, and the other family members respect it, if you know what I mean. They see the difference. So yeah, it
Yeah.
takes some time. So,
Yeah. But yeah, they may not do it themselves, but at least they respect it.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they respect that you're feeling better. Yeah.
Yeah.
So day to day, what's your menu like?
I eat because now I started working again, which I haven't really done for so long. So from having like all day to make a steak and all this, now I have to hurry a bit. So I make some eggs and bacon. That's very easy for me now. I bring to job, and I take that maybe after an hour or something, and then I eat a steak when I come home, or a lamb. There's at least fatty meat for dinner. And because I just have to say, I can still feel if I don't get enough fat. I need to eat high fat. I eat very much butter and very much, because if I don't do that, my kind of dementia starts again. Then my memory, my mouth won't cooperate with my thoughts. So so I can just have like a couple of days where I didn't eat enough fat, because it's like I'm not hungry, and then it starts to go on sync with my memory and my thinking and my words, so I can't combinate. So now I learned that okay, it's just eat massively, and then it kind of, so it's much repairing in my brain still, but I can feel it.
Nice.
Yeah,
So that's basically eating twice a day.
twice a day, and then as I can, sometimes I go to bed and can sense that brain thing is starting, that memory loss kind of feeling, and then I know I have to go down and eat some very fatty. Then I make maybe a scrambled egg with huge amount of butter, and just scramble that with butter, and then I eat that and go to bed, because then I know that will repair in the night, or I can feel it when I wake up, because sometimes I went to bed with that kind of feeling, and we're thinking I eat in the morning, and then it's like that takes the whole day to get back in the head, in my head. Yeah, so it's amazing.
Right.
I feel like I just own my body now. I can just like, I know, okay,
That's the best thing. It's like you're finally in charge, right?
I'm in charge.
Nice. So, if you were giving someone advice about starting with carnivore, what would you tell them to do?
I um I would tell them just to just begin, because I have very many people who are vegetarian friends, and the whole ethics about it. I would say look into that truth, because it's not so true, really, for the so that part. But the other part is that eat 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 meat, at least start eating meat, because you will feel the difference, and um, have in mind that that's all you need, that there is nothing else that can, I don't know, I would just start eating meat, at least, because so many people are not doing that, and they're eating fat free or skin free. Eat meat, eat fat, start there, and then see how you feel. And I hope, yeah, I'm so glad I got to talk to you, because I feel it's not easy to have this huge exploration and no one understands or know what's going on.
Yeah, and, you try and tell people and everyone looks at you like you're
I know.
crazy. It's just like,
Yeah.
I'm not the crazy
No.
one. I'm not the one eating the sugar all day.
Yeah. And that's in so much of the other foods. Yes. No, I would just say that, yeah. And one friend of mine said, when I said that, and she said, well, that's not very climate friendly, is it? And I was like, yes, it is. And she was laughing, like, are you nuts? Like, everyone knows that the cows are destroying the world. And I'm like, okay, so you know what I mean? There's a journey here.
Right. Yeah. So, Lynn, is there a way that people can reach out to you? Do you have any social media or
Uh,
any way of getting in contact?
yes, I am on Facebook. That's it, actually. So if you want to message me or something, that's okay. Other than that, I'm not ready for coming like all out, but I was thinking that this is an opportunity to for myself as well to.
Yeah, no worries. I'll link to your Facebook in the show
Yep.
notes. Um, Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story, Lynn. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me.